Good morning, everyone. Today going to study topic number 2 from Unit 1, Dynamics of Communication, and the topic is Body Language. So we're starting with the technical term for body language is kinesics. Body language is a more simplified uh, vocabulary or a synonym that is used for kinesics. So let's have the opening remarks.
Good morning to all of you. Now I am giving opening remarks about today's session. Our topic is kinesics. The following points can be used. Another word for kinesis is non-verbal communication. It can also called body language. It includes following things: postures, gestures, facial expressions, etc. Thank you.
Thank you for the opening remarks, Brunda. So, as she said, we are going to deal with the following things. There are different kinds of words that are used for kinesics. So, we had learned in the definition of communication, in the process of communication, that the sender and the receiver use a common set of symbols. Now, why do we mean by a common set of symbols? So that we actually understand what is the sender trying to say and what he or she wants the receiver to understand. Uh, let's take a very simple example. You might have studied Hindi and Gujarati in your school days, so you would be aware with the matras. Uh, we have this Raswa Matra and Dirgha Matra, right? So I'll tell you of a very simple word. The word is Hari, Hari, Hari. Now, if you use the Raswa Matra, that is the small one, the meaning of the word is the Lord Almighty or Lord Vishnu. Now, if I just change the Matra, that is, I use the Dirgha Matra. It means that in the Raswa Matra, the Matra comes before Ra, and the Dirgha Matra, it comes after R or Ra. Now the meaning changes and it means a monkey. That is why, now you see there's a vast difference, just a prefix and a suffix. The Matra taking the position of a prefix and suffix can entirely change the meaning of a word. And that is why a use of a common set of symbols. Here it can be words, signs, signals, right? So that's why a common set, because there's something when you speak, you have in mind the end. This is how the receiver should understand the word, right? Or understand the message. That's why it's very important. Even adding prefixes and suffixes could be problematic. Now, what we are talking over here is we're not talking about the written or the spoken word. We're talking about something that happens without writing or speaking. And this set of symbols are not a part of any language. They're not a part of any language, and that is why it's non-verbal. Non-verbal means you don't speak, yet you speak. So let's see how it happens. So sometimes we cannot explain everything through words. What happens is, at a point of time, we fail to convey the exact meaning. That is why we have pictures, drawings, sound, and body language. Let's say, for example, you're sitting in the classroom. You don't want the teacher to listen to what you want to convey to your friend. You're asking for a pen or a pencil. So you have your own way of doing it. You take out your pen, you ask for it, you show the pen, or maybe you show your compass box, something. So where words fail, pictures come into existence, right? Why? Because sometimes diagrams make it easier for us to understand. Let's say we are all aware about a triangle having three angles, but when somebody draws it, we can exactly tell that which is the right angle, which is the acute angle, and which is the obtuse angle, right? Because of the diagram. If the figure is not mentioned, let's say 95 degrees is not mentioned, but when you see the diagram of the triangle, you can always tell that, okay, this angle is a little bigger than 90 degrees, so it has to be the obtuse angle without knowing the measurement. You measure it and then you can verify whether your answer is correct or not, right? That's why the symbols, that's why the drawings. And body language is one of the most essential components of non-verbal communication. And it's not that we do not know and we have to learn body language. We are quite aware about it. We are using it as well. Let's say after a period of time, you feel a little tired. What happens is you start playing with your stuff in the classroom. That's you start opening your compass box, you start flipping pages, or if you have this click pens, you click it all the time. It conveys. It's a message that now it's more than enough, or you're tired. So we are doing it, but we have never labeled it. So today we're going to label it. So it's technically termed as kinesics. It's very important because it includes all different kinds of body movements that we do, and through this body movements we would always pass a message, and the study of this message that is passed through your body is also termed as the body language. You may play with your words, you may lie with your words, but your body cannot lie. You say, no, it's very refreshing, but your face is dull. Fine. So the body movements of a person are directed by his thoughts and feelings. Whatever thought and feelings you have, if you are tired, it will show on your face. Sometimes you can see your friend being tired. You can see your eyes are red. Were you awake last night to read? Eyes are puffy. So there are connections with every movement that the body makes, and a systematic study of this movements is also termed as body language or kinesics. Uh, it is inevitable to communicate. Human beings cannot not communicate. From the simplest nodding of your head or moving your hands, even moving your eyes, would communicate something, right? Uh, as I said, different parts of the body play different roles in communicating different kind of messages that you make. The same person, let's say there are a set of subjects that are offered to me in semester 3. I don't like one particular subject, so I am very inactive. Inactive means I would be lazing around, maybe drawing diagrams in my books. But then the very next lecture is of my favorite subject. Suddenly the excitement comes, and that you can visibly notice in a person. Why the person who was very inactive, was trying to hide from the teacher's question, is suddenly very active, the first one to raise the hand, first one to answer the questions, have queries and all. So that is why our body language is uh, directly connected to our emotions. And when our emotions change, our body language changes. So some of the few things that we have, or some of the portions that we have, are as below. The head, the movement of the head, that is in the nodding the head, uh, trying to say a yes or no gesture with your head. So there's a very old saying which says, hold your head high. It is actually a significant sign of honor, self-respect, and confidence. See, when you are confident, your body automatically comes into uh, an upright structure, very proper structure. Uh, your head is high, you can confidently look into the other person's eye and speak. Whereas when you bent your head a little low, would suggest modesty, politeness, or at times guilt. So let's say you can recall a classroom where when the teacher is scolding, we usually do not look at the teacher, we try to look at the bench, right? When I say we, it is to be taken as entire human race. When somebody is scolding us, we don't look up, we look down, we wait, okay, let the person scold. Then, as I said, a positive negative response with the head, nodding the head up and down, that is vertically, means a positive response. Nodding the head from side to side, that is horizontally, that's a no, right? So the yes and no that you do with your head. Next comes the face or the facial expression. Now, your face actually is the door to your soul. There are different parts of the face that indicate different moods that we carry. For example, you are all lit up when you are happy. You can see a nice big smile. You smile for no reason. Your eyes are shining. You can see a twinkle in the eyes, right? Whatever is in your mind, whatever you feel deeply is always reflected on your face. Let's say you are not feeling good on a particular day, you are not happy about a particular day. You try to maintain a smile, but it is different from the days when you are quite happy from within. Right? So this is what happens with the face, because our face would tell us or would actually tell others how you feel. Let's say when you are nervous, we can always see the person's face having this nervousness. You can make it out, right? So face is a strong way of expressing what we feel. So yes, for our question number 1, we have a statement where you have to give a true or a false. So body movements of a person are directed by his thoughts and feelings. Would anyone like to answer it?
No.
So is the answer no or okay? I'm getting in the check box. It's true. So you are correct. It is true. As I said, whatever you feel is expressed through your body. Right? Now, next comes the eye contact. Always, people have said that if you have a good eye contact, it means that you have a lot of confidence. Confident people make good eye contact. Your eyes are a part of the face. And I said a face is the mirror to your soul or to the mirror to your deepest thoughts. So eyes are those windows from where you can get or you can emit this information. Here I'd like to take the example of classical dancing. If you see classical dancing, most of us or some of us who are interested can make out the words or the beats. But what do we see when people dance in classical dancing? Especially, I'm taking the classical dancing example. Why? Because they tell you a story. They tell you a story with the help of their expressions. They tell you a story with the help of their eyes. So if you see a dancer, say for example, they want to tell you that he or she is actually having a fear of the next event that comes. So you can see the eyes growing big. So a question mark in the eye is what we can feel. So eye contact is of immense signification in face-to-face communication. It actually represents different things that you see. Like, let's say, suddenly you are asked, out of the class of 60, suddenly you are asked to answer a question. You were not expecting it. So, your eyebrows will rise, your eyes will become a little bigger. So that's uh, the surprise element that has come. Maintaining eye contact or good eye contact. If you see people who are good presenters and good speakers, they'll never look down to their book or notes when they are speaking. Uh, they would always look into the eyes of a person or the crowd. They would always look, when they're presenting or speaking, they would look into the eyes of the audience. So if the audience is large, does not mean with every person, but a nice eye contact with the audience and not looking down at the notes or the book for reference. Now that those are the people whose speeches you will like, whose presentation you will like, because they make a connection with you as an audience. So that is why eye contact is an important part of passing messages properly. Let's say if I'm a teacher and I am teaching in the class, I don't look at you. I keep on looking at the board or the floor or at the ceiling. Right? I'll never be able to make a connection with you people. If you see most of the teachers, even when they're using a PowerPoint, they will stand at an angle where they can see with one glance at the PowerPoint or the board, and at the other glance they can see the class or where you are seated. Why such an arrangement that is made? The reason is so that we can make a connection. Let's see, I'm watching you. I hope you are listening to me. That the teacher does not have to speak all the time. He or she would look at you. Okay, you are listening, you are awake. We don't speak such sentences. We look at you and you get it that, okay, he or she is talking to me. That is why eye contact is an important part of body language. Let's say eye contact is influenced by the context of culture. Now, why we are talking about culture here? Because different cultures have different ways of expression in terms of non-verbal communication. Usually when we talk to our elders, we don't maintain eye contact. In the Indian culture or in the Indian context, we don't make eye contact for longer durations. It does not mean that we are guilty or we have done something wrong. It is actually a sign of respect that we have in our culture. Whereas in Western culture, looking down and talking is interpreted as having guilt for some mischief that you have done. This is a simple example. Culture affects your body language. Right? There is nothing wrong into it. So it is one, your body language is affected, one, by your emotions, your thoughts. Two, it is important it is actually influenced by your culture or the cultural environment in which you have been brought up. Fine. Sometimes words might not catch the audience or the audience's attention, but your eyes can do that for you. Let's say your teacher suddenly stops, he or she has been teaching in a regular pace, and then suddenly he or she turns and stops speaking. That silence, when the teacher stops speaking, that silence actually makes a huge impact on the class. They're like, what happened? Is there something that is wrong? Somebody did a mischief. Right? The teacher does not have to say that somebody is doing a mischief. It is understood from that silence. Similarly, when somebody looks into your eyes, there again is a message that, are you listening? Are you concentrating? Is there something wrong? Things like that you can talk out into in terms of not speaking, yet telling and communicating through your eyes. An effective presenter is the one who can't manage eye contact with all the members in the audience. This is again a true or false statement. So I've got a lot of false. So your answer is absolutely correct. An effective presenter is the one who can manage eye contact with the members in the audience. Why? By managing eye contact with the members in the audience, you're actually creating a connectivity between you and the audience. You're trying to ask the audience to pay attention, and your message which you are trying to pass on to the audience is passed on in a more effective manner. Gestures. This is pronounced as gestures. So what is a gesture? Gesture actually is the movement of your torso. Torso is the body that is above your hip, right? Let's say your hand movements. Let's say, for example, when you give a thumbs up sign, it means very good, well done. We cross our fingers when we are hoping for something. Actually, when we are, when our results are coming, we cross our fingers and we stand. So that's a gesture. Different examples are given over here. The way the traffic police controls the traffic. The different mudras in different dance forms like Kathakali and Bharatanatyam, especially deaf people. Here, they use non-verbal communication to the maximum by involving different gestures and movements of hands and fingers to communicate their message. As I said, if I stand in the Saudhan position and speak, people may not pay attention. So little movements of hand would make the presentation more lively. So appropriate gesture at appropriate time would create an appropriate effect of what you are speaking. Right? Then posture. Posture actually is the way we stand or sit. It is the position that our body has adopted. Right? Let's say when a person is confident, he or she would have a very confident posture. That is, he or she would be standing in a erect position that is, very confident. You can see the confidence in the person in the way the person stands or sits. Let's say when somebody leans forward, when you are speaking and somebody leans forward, it shows that the listener is interested in the topic that you are taking. Or if somebody slumps means you lay down very lazily in the chair, that shows a laziness. With the help of your body posture, you can actually create a positive or a negative impression. That's why we hear teachers constantly telling you in the class, sit properly. Why this sitting properly is they're trying to train you for your interview process. So sitting in a very relaxed in the sense very slantingly in the chair would send a very wrong signal in the interview process. The reason because even before you start speaking in an interview, you start being judged. The way you knock at the door, the way you enter, way you pull the chair and you sit, right? The body starts speaking. It might be you do not have an intention of giving a negative impression, but sometimes incorrect body posture would send out a negative impression, and then it would spoil the whole thing, right? And you would be thinking that I did everything properly, but how come this did not come out successful? It's the posture that you need to maintain. So the different aspects that are covered in kinesics. A simple recall would be kinesics actually is the technical term or the jargon, JARGON. That's the word for technical term. That's the technical term for technical term, right? So the jargon for body language is kinesics. Kinesics, the simpler meanings are non-verbal communication or body language. Before we start speaking, our body starts speaking with us. It is connected by the thoughts and emotions arising in our mind. The different things that are included in body language, it's like beginning from the head, how you nod your head, you say yes and no, you tilt your head to one side, and you see there is a problem that happens, something like that. Moving from head to face, your facial expressions, they are really very important. The reason being, uh, your face says a lot. You don't want to tell somebody something, but it can show on your face. Let's say you know your result, but you have to tell your friends, no, I've not seen the result, let's see it. But from the face, they can make out. From face, then you have your eyes. Eyes tell a lot and are a powerful medium to communicate things. Eyes would speak a lot and actually would connect you to your audience in terms of, let's say, public speaking, as well as in terms of making presentations or appearing for interviews. So your eyes would be there. It would show whether you are confident enough or not, or maybe you are lacking confidence, you are nervous, because a person could make it out from your eyes. Then you have gestures. Gestures means they are hand movements, different hand movements that you do. So waving to your friend to say a hi or a hello. Giving a thumbs up sign could be wishing the person luck, or well done could be by the thumbs up. So raising your hand in the class, let's say in our classroom setups, when somebody raises a hand, it means he or she has a doubt or a question. And then we have postures. Postures is the way you sit, you stand, and you walk, right? So these are some of the things that are included in kinesics. Right, till now, do we have any doubts or queries? Okay, that's nice. Just share with you a few visuals so that we can understand better. So a few gestures, common gestures are, you show your feast, try to ask a question. If you see, every gesture is accompanied by a facial expression. So when you are thinking, so you have, you maybe have a finger on your head or somewhere near your chin, that shows that you are thinking. And some of the facial expressions, with this we can visualize within the classroom or within our own surroundings, where people would behave in a particular way in a particular incident happening. Please keep in mind that these things, let's say for example, the facial expression and the expression of the eyes, they don't work individually. It is all in synchronization. Let's say I'm feeling lazy. What do? Is I stretch my hands, I stretch my legs, I'm yawning, I cannot keep myself awake, my eyes are drooping. Right? So it does not happen that at minute number one I'm stretching my hands, after 2 minutes I'm stretching my leg, after 3-4 minutes I yawn, and after 5-6 minutes I feel sleepy. It's all synchronized. Means that you are stretching your legs and hands, you are yawning, everything happening at the same time, right? So body language, though these are the different portions of body language, but it does not mean it happens one after the other, or something happens before 5 minutes, the next thing would happen after 5-10 minutes. And this is all synchronized into what is happening, and that is why when you go for interviews or when you are publicly speaking something or presenting something, people take notice of what you are saying apart from what you are speaking. Right? What you are saying means what is your body saying. Teachers can always make out that this person is excited about this answer, let's ask him. Or this person is frightened. Sometimes you don't want to be picked to answer a particular question. In that case, what happens is you are the one who is picked, and then you have a thought in mind, how did the teacher know? Why me? Sometimes it can be by chance, but most of the times what happens is people can make out through your body language that the person is reluctant to answer this question. And that is why, to try to give you a platform to speak, you are asked to answer that particular question. It's not like the teacher is after you. It is trying to give you a platform so that you can speak. How come somebody comes to know that you are reluctant? From your body language, the way your body behaves. Let's take a simpler example is when you start looking at the watch. You want the class to get over. Some people look at the watch so that they can see whether they are punctual or not, they are finishing on time or not. Most of us, when we look at the watch or the clock, we're trying to get how many more minutes or how much more time is left if you have started losing your interest in the particular topic being taught, right? So from that, you're constant looking at the watch and looking at the teacher and the blackboard in your book. It conveys a message that you have started losing the interest. So please remember, these are the sub portions that we have in body language when we study body language. But they don't work individually, they work in connection with each other. Let's say you're excited about something. So not only your face, your entire self, you would be excited about it. Let's say, you cannot wait. You cannot keep your legs still. Your hands are moving here and there. You are ready. Okay, my presentation time. I've made a best presentation. All excited. You look at the presentation 2-3 times. You tell 2-3 people, I used this, I used that. So that excitement is a part of which your body reflects along with what you are speaking. Right? So that happiness can be seen in your words, in your body, in your face, in your mind, in your hand movements, etc. Right? So it's What we are speaking is known as verbal communication. What we are not speaking, but we are saying or conveying is known as non-verbal communication or body language. Now, this both verbal as well as non-verbal communication go hand in hand. They cannot be separated in any case. Let's say I'm asking somebody, if you see the picture that I'm showing you, the photograph that we have with us. Right. Let's say in column 3, I take picture 2 and say I'm very happy about today. And I have my presentation with that facial expression. Does it show that I'm happy about things? No. As I said, it will automatically, your face, you cannot handle that part. If you don't like certain things, your face will always reflect it. You cannot handle it. Like you cannot make up for that part for a longer duration of time. Right? So this is all about non-verbal communication. There are two types of communication. One is verbal, about which we learned in the process of communication, where you speak and things work. Second is non-verbal communication, where you don't speak, but your body would convey a lot of messages to different ways and different manners in which things are happening. Right? So I hope we are clear. The technical term for body language is kinesics. So now it's our quiz time. I'm pasting the link of the quiz for this session. I hope nobody has a doubt till now. So what you can do is, I'll paste the link for our quiz, and you can start attempting the quiz for today. I can see some of you have performed very well, scoring 4 and 5. That's very nice. We're still waiting for others to complete the quiz. So everyone has completed the quiz successfully. I can see 50 responses. So we'll take the attendance for today, and then I'll give you the vocabulary for tomorrow's session. Okay. I'll just speak out your name. You just type a yes. Mahek, Vrunda, Juzar, Ravi, Vishwaraj Singh, Vasu Kumar Dekiwadia, Vasu, roll number 12, Himang, Dhruv, Vishwa, Vishwa Doshi, Nirav, Nirav Ghelani, Vidhi, Brij, Aditya, Aditya Gorasya, Vatsal, Ishan, Manthan, Jinal, Jinal Kansagra, okay. Vasu, Kant, Mohammad Faiz Mohammad, Anas, Krupali, Anjan, Ramesh, Shuchi, Kanan, Mitali, Jai, Bhavin, Bhautik, Raj, Darshan, Penny, Jai, Jai Parmar, Alvish, Riya, Harshil, Sanjay, Raj, Soni, Gaurav, Avni, Poojan, Vartika, Nesargi, Himali, Yash, Kevin, Keyur, Shubham, Shubham Gadhia, Shubham Goswami, Kunj, Deven, Nihil, uh, Nihil Pachani, okay, Jai, Jai Prajapati, and Aditi Shah. Okay, we are done with the attendance. Now I'll be sharing the vocabulary list with you for tomorrow. So that's lecture 3 vocabulary. Our first word is proxemics. You can refer to the chat box for the spelling. Second word is paralinguistic features. The next word is zones. There is intimate zone, personal zone, social zone, and public zone. And a few more terms that you can have is volume, pitch, pause, and the last word is the rate. So these are the 10 words or vocabulary that is related to tomorrow's topic. So let's have the closing remarks now for today. The closing remarks. Is the person who's supposed to give the closing remarks not present? close the session then. In today's class, we learned about kinesics, which is an important part of communication. Kinesics, in simple terms, means body language. It includes the head movements, the facial expression, the movement of the eyes or eye contact, the gestures, and the postures. This all work in synchronization with each other, and they are also synchronized or they work alongside verbal communication. So that is what we have done in today's session. Fine. So thank you, class. Tomorrow I'll not allow this closing remarks. I'm not going to give. You are supposed to give. If you have not been able to know who you are, I've already whose closing remarks it is. I've already uploaded the PPT in the e-content. You can get it from there. So thank you, class. Have a nice day.